Should you turn your hobby into an acquisition of money? A lot of people will say no. Let's chat. Well, what is going on, everyone? Welcome back to Kitchen Table TCG. My name is Louie. I hope you're having yourself a fantastic day. Today, we're going to talk about this transitional time that a lot of people go through where you start thinking about turning a hobby like Magic the Gathering, collecting Pokemon cards, into some sort of business or making money as a result, some sort of investment vehicle, or even like a micro tiny business if that be your case. So we're going to talk about that. Now, let me first off start. I'm just going to share with you my experience of this. I obviously have done this. I started off as just like playing Magic the Gathering in college. I started collecting, and then as I became an adult and had some more disposable income, I actually started investing in Magic the Gathering. And then obviously I opened up a store and I started the YouTube channel, and all that kind of stuff adds into now a full-fledged business where this is my full-time job. So I want to give you my experience from that, and it may be different than your experience. So this is not financial advice. This is just my opinions and what my story was and what made sense in my life. So that's I just want to focus on that there may be easier ways to make money, but in my opinion, this is the most fun way to make money. So you know, funness is way more than profit and whatever. So anyway, and then the second question is like, why a card game? Like why did I choose to do this with a card game, with card games rather than something else? And the answer to that is like, I know cards. It's something I enjoy. It's something I know. It's something I've studied, I guess, technically. It's something that comes naturally and easy to me, and my attitude about it, my kind of gut feelings about things usually end up being something that has worked out for me in the past. And so it's just something I know. And then additionally, there's money to be made in cards. And I know a lot of people hate that, but at the end of the day, this is a business. There is a business side to trading card games, all the way up at Hasbro, all the way down to the indie TCGs, all the way over to your big YouTube channels, all the way to your little guys like me. There is money to be made in the card industry. And it's something that I know, and if it's something that you know, man, this can be a great opportunity for you to turn a hobby into a secondary income or something like that. And that is really important, and it's definitely something that you should consider. If you love cards, you should consider this because it's something that you love and there's an opportunity attached to it to make money. And you shouldn't rob yourself of that just because it's a hobby and that kind of thing. So like, why not us, right? Like, why not take the advantage of something that you know well and that you can do? And then the last thing is, I thoroughly enjoyed this side of this hobby. I feel like at some point it shifted to me where I liked and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the buying, selling, trading, negotiating, the kind of adrenaline that comes with that, more than I even like the actual playing of cards. At some point that shifted for me, and I just really enjoy it. It's a part of the hobby that I really, really like, and that's great because this is my job, right? Like, this is what I do all day, and so it's good that I like it, but that's the perspective that I come from, and that's going to be the perspective of this video. So this very well might not be for you, but I just wanted to share that this is a perspective that I think some of you may have, and if you want to put the energy and time into turning this hobby into a side business or a side hustle or even a full-fledged thing, I want to encourage you that you should do it, that you should take the leap, that you should experience this because it is a lot of fun and it is wild and it is experience. So where did we start? Where would I recommend somebody start? How does this come about? I would not ever recommend you just like quit your job and go full on in to selling cardboard. There is far easier ways to make money, and that probably, I would say 99% of the time would not make sense for you as an individual to do that if you have like a regular job and a family that is important. But you can still start somewhere. And the worst thing, this is something I've learned over the last 3 years. I'm always afraid of taking risk. And in my last 3 years of experience of doing doing this, full time, I have found that the biggest risk at all is not taking risk. The biggest risk at all has been when I've stayed back and not engaged with something in a healthy way, and I've just like backed off. And I think that goes true with everyone. If you are interested in collecting, in trading in a financial way in this hobby, the biggest risk is not stepping in at all. Now, I'm not saying you go all in, but you have to get your toes wet a little bit. And so it's important to start where you're comfortable. This is kind of the first main point of this video, is to start where you are comfortable. And for some of you, you have a lot of exposable income, and this is an easy question. It's just like, how much money do I have left at the end of the month to throw at cardboard? And that's like, the 1%er in you, that's great. For the rest of us though, who aren't there, and this is where I started, I just kind of looked around and said, hey, what do I already have? And in my case, and I think in a lot of people's cases, I just had like 2 or 3 extra commander decks that I didn't care about anymore, that I wasn't playing with anymore. And I used those 2 or 3 commander decks. I think the total value was like $800, $900. And I started my TCG player store with these 3 commander decks. And that's what jump-started this entire business. That's what jump-started this entire thing for me, was just taking what I had and just throwing it out there and saying, okay, I'm going to learn this. I'm going to learn, instead of trading my cards in or whatever, I'm going to learn how to run a TCG player store, and I'm going to learn the processes, I'm going to learn all that stuff, and then I'm going to take the money that I make from that, and I'm going to use it for other things. And so you have to start with where you're at. Now, some of you guys already have huge collections. Some of you already have, again, a lot of capital, a lot of money. It's easier for that to start, but that doesn't mean just because you don't have those things that you shouldn't start somewhere. That is such a bad attitude to have in life, to say just because I don't have what somebody else has, I'm not going to give it a shot. At the end of the day, if you have $5 cards, if you have a stack, if you have 10 $5 cards, you have $50, you can still do this. You just start behind where everybody else is, and that's okay. It's not a race. Comparing yourself to other people will only leave you devastated. Compare yourself to today to where you were yesterday, and that is the best way to go through life. So don't look at the other person who has more than you. Just look at where you are today and say, okay, what can I do to further myself using my own stuff, what I have, to be to be better suited in this position tomorrow? What can I do? So for me, it was selling some commander decks, and that's what jump-started for me. And then at that point, once I started having what is called cash flow, where I had $800, $900, I started saying, okay, what can I do with this? Side note, one of the best things you can do, especially if you're married, is to create a secondary, like for me, it was a PayPal account. And so I never had to dip into my wife and I's money to buy things. It was never like this question. It was like, hey, this is my hobby. I'm going to start trading cards. This is like my little thing. And I had a PayPal account, and that's where all the money stayed for a long time until I started the actual LLC and stuff like that. But that PayPal account was where things were processed, so I could always know where I was. Was I up? Was I down? How much money? I kind of set a tone to say I always want to have $250 in the account at the beginning, and so you could tell if I was up or down and that kind of thing. So the second thing then is to set a budget, and then don't cash out. Don't just cash out of everything and go blow the money on, a big night on the town and a bunch of drinking and a bunch of just random stuff that you don't actually need. You can't cash out early if you're going to do this. You're going to see that account grow, and you're going to say, oh my gosh, I started with $250. I've got $2 grand now. I've made it, baby. I'm rich, right? You're going to start saying, I'm going to buy this card that I always wanted. You can't do that. You have to have in your account some cash flow and some budgeting and some idea of not overspending, because you need money in your account. You have to have the cash flow for when the good opportunities come. When that collection pops up on Facebook Marketplace, or your buddy who's quitting Magic decides, hey, I'll sell all my cards right now for $300, I'm out. Wizards did this or that. You have to have the capital to be able to accomplish that. So you have to budget, right? And this is hard, but this is great skills to learn for life. If you're not good at budgeting in life, this can be a great opportunity to learn this stuff and to get some reps for like the rest of your life too. So my budget, when I kind of got this started, what I grew into The thing I did was I spent $480 a month. That was my big spend, right? I spent $480 a month. That was the goal. And I bought a case of booster boxes. At the time, I think it was Guilds of Ravnica. I bought a case of booster boxes. That was my budget. It was $80 a box. I picked up a case of booster boxes and I put it on the shelf. And then the rest of the money was just kind of there to fluff and there to increase. So I would start looking at, buying collections. I would start looking at different things. I would research stuff. I would buy some cards and then I would flip, would sell them for a little bit higher. But the money that I took out of the kind of, I guess the investment that I took out of my capital was $480 a month. And I just bought a case. And then I never sold those cases until they reached the goal. And I literally set a goal when I said, I spent $80 a box. When boxes hit 120, I will sell 5 of the boxes and I'll keep 1. That's kind of what I did early on. And that worked. That worked really well. And I was able to make some money, increase some stuff, and go around. Again, $480 a month. Not a ridiculous amount of money. Now, not a small amount of money. I know a lot of people who can't do $480 a month, but maybe you can do $15 a month. Maybe you can do $20 a month. You can just buy a couple small collections. You can grow this, and then you can work your way up. The key is to understand where you are and figure out where you want to be and just take baby steps along the way. And then the last thing is you have to take calculated risks. You have to be able to get yourself into a position to take calculated risks. And this is why you need that little bit of capital, right? That little jump start. Maybe it's your commander decks, right? Maybe it's whatever. You get that capital and you have to be able to take calculated risks. For me, that budgeting was a calculated risk, right? I said $80 boxes of Guilds of Ravnica. I'm not going to lose money on that, right? Like I felt very secure in putting money into into that kind of thing. But calculated risks that I took along the way, buying collections, that is a calculated risk. You have to analyze the pictures. You have to kind of evaluate, am I going to be able to make my $100, $150? The amount of $100 to $150 collections that I bought early on Facebook Marketplace, I mean, I was buying 2 or 3 a week at one point. And it was crazy. There would be collections I would spend $100, $150 and I would lose my shirt, right? And then there would be collections that I would 2, 4, 5, 10x my money and they would make up for all the other collections. So it was that kind of width of buying things. And now this is the awkward part here. This is the part that a lot of people are going to click away and not like. You have to be willing to do the work in order to buy 4, 5, 10 collections a month, process through those, sort the cards, list the cards, do the work to do it. And this is where people fall off, right? People do not like doing work. And everybody looks at the amount of time that goes into this and says, man, why don't you just go get a job at Taco Bell? Took you 20 hours to sort through that collection and you made $150 in profit? Yeah, that's what I did because I love cards. I know it's stupid. I know it's silly. But if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. And eventually, all that hard work pays off and you hit these bigger collections and you win and all of a sudden the profits go up and then you start being able to have enough money that you don't have to just stick around to the small collection buying on Facebook. But then once you have a reputation in your community, people start coming to you with collections and you start buying stuff and you start doing things and you start growing. And at that point, it becomes way more profitable than it was when you were grunting it out, grinding it out, just doing the hard work. But people don't like to work hard, and this is the biggest importance. If you're gonna do this, you have to be willing to work hard and to grind it out. So take those calculated risks. Don't be afraid of saying, I'm going to spend $150 and there's a chance that it comes back and it bites me in the butt. Like you've got to be willing to take some risks, but you have to take risks that don't crush you. You have to take risks that don't cripple your, whatever this is, business now. $150 if you have $1,000 in your account isn't going to cripple you. It will hurt, it will suck, it will not feel great, but you have to calculate that, and that's why you don't take the $1,000 risk, right? Like you have to take calculated risks to grow things over time. So anyway, I'm no expert on this. Listen, I'm still in the middle of all this, right? Like I haven't made it yet. I've just made it to this stage. And if you compare me to other creators or other things, I certainly haven't made it. I certainly have a long way to go. But when I look back on my life, man, I'm proud. It's been really fun to get to this place where now things are turning and grooving. I own a store, I have a YouTube channel, we're doing box breaks and openings, and like, it's a lot of fun. And if I can do it, you can do it too, if you enjoy it and if you love it and if you're willing to put the energy into it. So let me know what you think in the comment section below. I hope you have yourself a fantastic day. If you want to discuss any of this stuff, head on over to KitchenTableTCG.com and hop in our Discord server. It is completely free to be a part of. Really great people. Everyone who is cares about this kind of stuff can answer questions. It's been fun to talk to some people about starting TCG player accounts and getting to seller level 4 and all that stuff. So have a great day. Be kind to the people around you. See you guys next video.